Okay, well, welcome everybody to another Geo session, and it's the first careers-focused Geo session that we've run, and so I'm very excited to say that we're joined today by Kit Rackley, who's going to lead this session. Kit is a higher education champion for the Network for East Anglian Collaborative Outreach, and well, Kit will explain everything when they start going, but we're going to have lots of contributions from various different people throughout the session, so that's going to be really exciting. Before we get started, I'm just going to talk for 30 seconds about Geo. So Geo is a website set up by the Geographical Association to help GCSE and A-level students with their exams. So on the website, that's geographyeducationonline.org. We've got loads of resources for students, and we've got loads and loads of more talks like this one. We've got some coming up later this month in November, and we've also got lots of past events that we've got on there, so you can go back and you can watch the full streams of those events and check out the PowerPoints as well. So I'm going to hand over to Kit now, who will get things started. Thanks, Kit.
Thank you, Aaron, and hi everybody. I know I'm a familiar face to some of you, but some of you might not know what I actually do in my day job, and that is I work for neaco, as I've already been introduced. And neaco, we are part of the Office for Students Uni Connect program. Now, neaco, we deal in East Anglia, so we are a partnership of all these universities college that you see. But no matter where you are in a country, you will have a regional network that you can tap into. So if you go to officeuniconnect.org/our-locations, you can find out who your regional partnership is, and then you can get in contact and they can help you build aspirations towards higher education in your school with your students. Right, I am delighted to be joined by some fabulous geographers. Some of them identify as geographers, some of them don't, but they've all used geography in their careers or in their studies. And I'm going to give them just 60 seconds to introduce themselves, and I'm going to tell you how you can interact with them. So, Aaron, if we can line up our first guest. So, Julia, I'm going to give Julia 60 seconds to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Beeden. I've worked in a range of different areas related to geography. I've worked in weather forecasting, in working with nature-based solutions, which is about using nature to solve environmental challenges like treating wastewater or reducing flood risk. I've worked in flood risk for many years as well, looking at things like sustainable drainage systems. And I'm really happy to answer any questions you've got related to my careers or geography. I didn't do geography A-level, but I did do it at GCSE. And so happy to fill in gaps about that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. And now we move on to Guy Cooper from the Environment Agency.
Hi, everyone. I'm Guy. So I work for the Environment Agency, and you can ask me what that is later if you don't already know. I've been there about 20 years. I started as a biologist, taking invertebrate samples in rivers to see whether there was any pollution and that kind of thing. Very quickly got involved in flooding, worked on the flood warning service for about 7 years, and it's there that I got really interested in change at the coast, adaptation to that change, and trying to keep those communities safe. So I now work in the area incident team across 5 counties, and some of the more recent incidents I've been involved in include the winter flooding last year, but also the fuel situation we had recently.
Thank you, Guy. Okay, Steph.
Hi everyone, I'm Steph. I'm in my 3rd year studying environmental science at the University of East Anglia, so I'm a lot earlier on in my career than most of the people talking today. I was really interested in physical geography at A-level, and I've taken that forward to university and merged it with my scientific interest to specialise in marine and freshwater science. So I'm currently writing my dissertation looking at the impacts of nutrients on phytoplankton, which are these microorganisms in the ocean, which are really, really important for giving us oxygen that we breathe in. So I'm really interested in that. And geography's also given me a lot of opportunities to do internships working with the Fijian government on their national oceans policy. So a really wide and varied influence that I've had so far.
Amazing, Steph. Thank you. And it is an absolute pleasure to introduce the punk biologist, Lucy.
Hi everyone. Yes, my name is Lucy Eckersley. I'm also called the punk biologist because people can't remember my last name. I am a biologist, but I've utilised geography throughout my undergrad, which I actually did my undergrad specialising in conservation. So how do we help animals that are threatened and endangered around the world? And quite often that is interplaying with both the people, the society that's around those animals, but also the geography, the climate, the wider picture in general, something that's called One Health. So that idea of all those things interacting together. I also did my master's degree at the Royal Veterinary College, which is where I now work as the outreach officer. So if you've got any questions about biology, how that interacts with geography, or applications to university, because that's what I do, I can definitely chat to you about that.
Oh, perfect. So you're a person after Nico's own heart, Lucy. Right, Ro. So hello, Ro. Please do introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Ro. I go by they, them pronouns, and I didn't think I was a geographer. So I went to uni, I studied environmental sciences, and me and my friends, my geographer friends, we always rivaled, saying, you're not a real science, you're not a real science. Went on my placement year, and I realised geography is such a real science, because it applies to what we do, it applies to how we look at nature and how we do people. So it really helps us to understand the world. I spent my whole of my final year studying roller coasters, which is quite impressive. So if you'd like to find out a little bit more about that, chuck it in the chat. And I now work in science communication, engaging diverse people like myself with science.
Yeah, and Norwich Science Festival coming up, Ro, which you're involved with. It's going to be epic. So yeah. Thank you, Ro. Okay, John.
Hi everyone, I'm John Stone. I work for the UK government at the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, and I guess I've had a range of kind of geography-based jobs over my career. But I first started as a geographer, I guess, at UEA, where I did my PhD, which was amazing there, working on kind of volcanoes and risk management, and then kind of moved through NGOs onto the UK government, where I worked on some national security issues, and then slowly headed to where my sort of home really is, which is working on climate change. And at the moment, in the lead up to COP26 in Glasgow, I'm helping to run the adaptation and resilience policy campaign for that, which is both exciting and quite a challenge.
Wow, amazing! And I guess we'll give a shout out to Professor Jenny Barclay while we're on the show. So yes, okay, and I'm going to skip Jason because Jason's not that important. No, it's not because of that, because Jason's going to show us something a little bit later and is going to have his fill then. But if you want to ask any questions about GIS, Geographical Information Systems, oh my goodness, Jason is the person to ask, and how it can be related, not just in terms of careers, but also in just life in general. So please, please, please do get some questions into Jason. Now, as you can see there in the white box, please do not hesitate to ask questions as we go along. You've got all 7 of these wonderful people, so all you need to do in the YouTube chat box is type Q4 name and ask away, because all of these folks are in the chat ready to take your questions. I will try and spare time for questions at the very, very end, okay? But that's a surefire way to get your question out there. And as Jason's just put there on chat, anything about GIS, do ask away. You don't have to wait. You don't have to be in sync with what I'm saying. We're running in parallel here. Right, what is this talk not? It's not one of these. It's not, oh, with geography, you can do this, you can do, because this is inadequate, right? It is very tropey, it's very stereotypical, and is very inadequate. So, David Attenborough, Sir Michael Palin, we love these folks, but you need to sit down, right? Greta, blah, blah, blah. Your speech was amazing, Greta. You're an inspiration to all of us and young people, but this talk is not about you folks as inspirations. They're about people out there doing things now, 7 of them that you have here in this chat. So we want to think of geography as a companion on the journey that you want to take through life. Okay, so that is how this talk is going to be framed. In what sense can geography be a companion? Now, I'll have to admit, my background, I'm an ex-geography teacher. I've got some inherent biases as well. Okay, so, and my experiences, I've come through doing environmental science, University of East Anglia, and working with climate scientists, doing a lot of geography education at the moment, and I'm a consultant for the Geographical Association. So I have had to work very, very hard to put my biases aside and talk as geography as a companion. So what I really do want to hope everyone feels is that this is not a pressure of you should take geography. It's more of a case of how can it support you with what you do want to do. Okay, right, fantastic. I can already see some questions in the chat. So well done, Ryan. Well done, Mrs. Griffith's Guides. That's fantastic. And as we can see, we're getting some responses already. Right. Who do you think said this? Being a geek is all about being honest about what you enjoy, not being afraid to demonstrate that affection. It means never having to play it cool about something how much you like something. It's basically a license to proudly emote on a somewhat childish level rather than behave like a supposed adult. Being a geek is extremely liberating. Well, of course, that's going to be from some famous geographer, isn't it? You know, and that famous geographer is Simon Pegg, the actor. Okay, right. So you see where I'm going with this. I'm not trying to flag up like famous geographers. It's people who you would think is not related. Now, Simon is an actor. So what about Simon appeals to you? Is it the beer or the alcoholic drink that he's holding? Is it the way that he expresses himself, his hairdo, his facial hair, his jewelry, the stances that he has while he's acting, or even the movies that he is in, you know, like The World's End, rated 15 for those of you who are here that are under 15. Please, can I add subtitles? I think we can do that. You could, I don't know, that's a very good question. Geography, see if you can go to settings on there, because this is being streamed via YouTube, so it would have to be on your end that the settings are. I don't think, unless Aaron, there is a setting that we can set off live captions in here. Aaron, I'll let you have a look at that. Right, so Simon Pegg, well, what aspect of this kind of like is interesting to you? Well, where's the geography? Well, beer, you know, this is a question for Jason, you know, geospatial kind of thing. Crime, antisocial behaviour tends to be where alcohol is consumed. You know, hairdo, grooming products are derived from the natural environment. Jewellery, well, mining in countries once under colonial rule. This stance, you know, use of drama and narratives to tell geographical stories, something I absolutely loved to do, you know, when I was teaching. And The World's End, well, almost every disaster movie has a geographical theme, right? I'll tell you what, challenge for you in the chat. Can you name any? You know, perhaps the obvious ones out there, definitely. Okay, here's another quote for you. You are in control of your dream and ambition. No one can take away what you want to be, but you need to find it. So keep trying different things until you find your passion. And I love this quote because it is an encouragement to not just settle on one thing and say, and then obviously, if you're so keen on doing something, maybe a job that one of our guests has got, go for it, see what you can. But also, there are so many ways that you can approach that, so many pathways. And this is a quote from Adi Adepitan, the TV presenter and ex-sportsman, and in fact, a geographer as well, because he does do a lot of nature programs, a lot of environmental activism. So what about Addy then? So we've got, well, sport, cultural heritage, he's a presenter, the clothing wear, fitness, disability and accessibility, you know, indicated by his wheelchair. So where's the geography in this? You know, this is someone who we don't identify as a geographer, but where's the geography? So we've got a sport, you know, well, there's inequalities in development, and that means that some regions and countries are more successful than others. You know, you look at the most successful, well, the Olympics we just had, think of the top of the medal table, you know, and what about football or soccer? Yeah, it's what countries are the most successful. Where do their players play for club football, right? Cultural heritage, well, Adi actually emigrated from Nigeria to the United Kingdom at the age of 3, you know, and think about what he has brought with him in terms of his culture, in terms of what he's offered to our culture, you know, and a very big presence that he is through his presenting and through media. You know, he uses critical thinking skills. He recognises bias, because that's what, well, good presenters and good journalists do anyway. Clothing, well, he's got there, it's Under Armour, isn't it? It's a brand, you know, so it's globalisation of the fashion industry that we can see there. He's a very, very fit lad, Addy. So you've got, you know, pro athletes tend to train in warm climates or at higher altitudes to really work on their body and get things going there. Now, what about, you know, disabilities? Well, Addy actually contracted polio when he was young, causing loss of function in his legs. So if you didn't know that about him, why he's disabled, well, that's the reason why, you know. And that also links to things like epidemiology, you know, the spread of disease, which is very topical right now. And then with regards to accessibility, well, how can we design spaces and places to be more accessible? You know, because clearly Addie is, and people like Addie, is no less of a human being, has got so much to offer. So how are we going to make sure that the accessibility allows everybody to fulfill their potential? And that's geography. Right, one more for you. Okay, the youth climate movements that have burst onto the scene the past few years are what gives me hope. Just seeing how many young people care about issues is great. And this is probably one of the three who would identify as a geographer, and that is the wonderful Maya Rose Craig, who's an ornithologist, environmental activist. And I had the pleasure, I think Jason, Saul, you were there too, I had the absolute pleasure of seeing Maya do one of her first public talks at the Geographical Association conference when she was just 14 years old. And if you don't know who Maya is, my goodness, she is such an inspiration for other young people. And she's got a book out at the moment actually called 30 Young Indigenous People and People of Colour Fighting the Climate Crisis. And I would strongly recommend looking that up. So what about Maya Craze then? So she's got knowledge and experience, youth, she's an ornithologist of colour, bird watching, and all this equipment to help her do these kind of things, you know, and knowledge and experience, not just geography, although geography most certainly helps with this, you know, it allows you to make informed decisions. And a lot of you are thinking about whether to take geography in your next phase, whether it's GCSE to A level or to something else related, right? Or you've got going to university maybe, or an apprenticeship, which we'll come to a bit later. She's got youth on her side, but she's quite immature for her age. You know, the predictions and the trends today that are being made are your future, young people. And the teachers, these predictions, they're the future of the kids that we teach. Okay, so it's real and tangible to them. Maya's an ornithologist of colour, and that tends to have a low levels of representation and visibility in natural spaces. I think it's even in the single figures in terms of the percentage of people of colour who tend to access natural spaces, and that's something which has got to be addressed. Bird watching, so monitoring ecosystems and species levels, and the equipment, you know, think about all the skill and the labour and the resources need to produce. So I've just done one geographer and two non-geographers, if you like, and think of the geography that's just poured out of them. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not really interested in geography, but I do want to become an actor, I do want to work on stage, I do want to go into media, I do want to go into journalism, think about all those links where geography matters, right? Okay, so here's those quotes all in once there, and if I just fade away and only focus on those kind of bluey greeny tinges, you can see that these words are very, very powerful. Okay, so demonstrating your affection, extremely liberating, hope, cares about issues, ambition, keep trying different things until you find your passion. That could be true of very, very many subjects, but I will guarantee you that is always true when it comes to geography and geography-related issues. Okay, so let's just have a little pause and have a look at the chat. It's very vibrant. Well done, everybody. So, I can see CG Geography are really getting in there. What influenced your decision to choose geography or GCSE or A level? Lovely. Wow, this is really, really good stuff. Look, there are 59 people watching, which is amazing. Amazing, right? Please don't be shy to ask your questions. Please don't be shy. Get them in there, see what you can ask, and your guests will get back to you. They seem to be having a whale of a time there. Right, okay. So, back to me. Geography is a very comprehensive subject. So you've got skills and attributes that link to every other subject. So now this is a bit tropey, and if you're a year 9 student or a year 11 student, you've probably had something similar to this already, right? Oh yeah, here's how geography relates to all the other subjects. Well, I want to show this for two reasons. One is because yes, these are the tangible ways that you will find geography in the subjects that you love, but if you're kind of a coin toss about whether you want to do geography or you want to do something else. Like for me, when I was taking GCSE, it was geography or drama. And unfortunately for me, they were in the same option block once. So I couldn't take geography and drama. And I literally tossed a coin and, well, you know, the rest is history, right? But I would love to have taken drama as well. If you find yourself in a similar position where you would love to take geography, but you've got passion for other subjects, that's okay. That's valid. And you should never be pressured to take something lesser that you've got feelings for than some things. So if you do end up taking, say, art instead of geography, well, think about visual expression of processes. Think about exploring places and cultures and geography through sculpture and through art. So, and landscapes and how they are explored through art. You've got John Constable paintings and things like that. But what about photography as well? Like Humans of New York and the Humans of series of books. Amazing artwork in there through photography about exploring different cultures. Okay, so as Jason will attest to, with IT and computer science, you've got GIS, and tech is what we call a disruptor, because what it does, it kind of, well, think about what's been happening recently with the coronavirus pandemic, how we've all kind of gone online and how we've all got this kind of online virtual hybrid way of working and communicating now. That's what we mean as a disruptor. It's kind of changed the normal processes. Okay, history, so influence of geography over historical events. Put it this way, if there wasn't a stiff breeze blowing over the English Channel when the Germans were making their move in the Second World War, that war could have turned out very, very different if it wasn't for the geography of the English Channel and the weather conditions at the time. That's a debatable kind of claim, that one, but it's definitely a huge influence that Hitler called off his invasion because of the weather conditions. That's just one example of many. Language. So language is used as a produce of geography, and as a measure of culture. Not just languages such as, well, we've got Aaron here from the GA, who can speak Czech, which is amazing. Of course, so I'm not just thinking about French and Spanish, but what about indigenous languages as well? The indigenous people who have 10 or 11 or 12 different words for tree, because all about the different life stages and what that tree can do for the landscape. So that's how language can manifest itself in geography. Now, philosophy, ethics, law, politics, all that kind of stuff, well, moral and ethics, the fair versus free trade debate, population control debate, that all comes in there. PE, how geography affects performance, as we mentioned with Addy, sport used as economic development, which is going to happen next year with Qatar, and that's a very controversial thing. Design technology, resistant materials, food, textiles. So what about the sustainable sourcing of your materials, the food miles, the production, drama, my love, building of empathy through role play, exploring issues through processes through drama. And you got, well, maths, yeah, all over geography. Geography, I like to joke that geography is applied maths. Data analysis, use of charts, economic change. And you've got English, report writing, exploring the world through prose, and science. Well, Ro will definitely back me up on this, that geography, we believe, is a STEM subject, but because you've got all those physical, chemical, biological processes, the human impact of scientific processes, such as climate change. Now, that's all well and good. You probably kind of had a knowledge of all that already, but some of you are thinking about university right now. Some of you may be in year 13, really bit anxious about what you're going to put on your UCAS forms. And if those of you are not going into university, you're thinking, how are you going to enter the workforce or maybe look for an apprenticeship? Well, let's try and flip this then, right? I found this amazing tool. It was from a university in Australia where you just pick certain subjects of interest and it will give you recommended courses. This is based, I've forgotten what the name of the university is now. So I'm doing the same thing here, but this time these are university degree courses that have geography as an element. So look at the range in that. So if you're taking geography at GCSE and or A level, but you want to do one of these, I only could fit this lot on the PowerPoint, right? Well, look at the range of that where geography can help you, right? So even with music, because of the, how culture and how environment, place influence musical output, culture. So all of these things there. Right, my guests, is there anything that you took? Because obviously we know we've got Steph's doing environmental science, and Ro, you did geography. I did environmental science. But is there anything there which you took? So maybe guess you can do that. So was it biology you did? But anyway, anything on there that you took or something related? But you're all here doing a geography talk. So I'm going to give myself a sip of water while you'll have a look at. Oh, I've just seen the word boring. I need to see the context in that. I love the discourse that's taking place on here. Crikey, they're keeping you busy, aren't they, guests? Really good questions there. Right. Okay. Oh, Ro, just indicate in the private chat for us. Ro, I can give you the floor for 20 seconds. Do you want the floor for 20 seconds? Right. Okay. Okay, Aaron, bring in Ro for us, and then can you bring in John for both for about 20 seconds? So you've got 20 seconds, folks. So, Ro, what do you want to say?
So, although I did environmental sciences at university, that makes you think science, blowing things up in a lab, big explosions. But actually, I spent my final year studying roller coasters. So, as you can see here, geography can be applied to anything and everything you love. So, don't be afraid to be a bit wacky.
Yep. And you know, Ro needs to tell. Go find Ro at the Norwich Science Festival if you're relocating to Norwich, and get Ro to talk to you about that roller coaster link. Right, John, what was it you would like to say about? There's a question you had about human geography.
Yeah, so it was around, you know, are there as many jobs for people who love human geography as physical geography? Absolutely, and you know, being a civil servant and working in kind of diplomatic things. Even things just as simple as the other day, I had to have a difficult conversation with another country's ambassador about something I wanted to persuade them to do. And I thought, okay, I know where this ambassador's from. I know their kind of most famous football player. And he happens to play for the club that I support. So I'm just going to drop that in. You know, and it was only geography that allowed me to know that. And now we are the best of friends. And, you know, we laugh about football, we talk about all this stuff. And obviously that could have gone wrong if you'd been a Man United fan, for example. But you know, I think geography really helps in like the really big stuff and the really small stuff, which like in diplomacy, the small conversations and relationships are so important.
Yeah, absolute diplomacy. And I'm John, I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur supporter, so I think I'll just leave it there. Right. Okay. Thank you, folks. Right. This is still available on BBC Sounds. It's very, very short. I think it's only about 20 minutes, half an hour. Professor Hannah, and this is completely serendipitous that I put this in there. I didn't plan to put this in there. Hannah, by the way, thank you for your permission for me to reference you on this slide if you happen to be seeing this. So Professor Hannah Cloak is a natural hazards researcher and hydrologist at University of Reading, and she gave a fantastic interview to the Life Scientific on BBC Radio 4. There's the link. You can go and listen to it, or just search for the Life Scientific on BBC Sounds or a podcasting app. And she said various things. So let's link these together. She said, I had a pure love of geography right the way through school. And I'm paraphrasing like almost her whole entire interview here. You need to listen to the whole thing. At university, I realised that not only the maths made sense, but it linked back to reality and back to those rivers I saw as a kid. So, you know, I wasn't really joking when I said, you know, geography is almost like applied maths, right? So you can see our globe lighting up with the links, so the science and the maths there. Then she went on to say, I learnt to program clusters of computers to model flooding across Europe. So now she's been working with colleagues across Europe, you know, whether she speaks different European languages or not, I don't know, but she's communicating with those different cultures. And obviously she's learning to program and code and things like that. And now she's been part of a European-wide system to put alarms and alerts out there with flooding. I'm sure that's something that John knows a fair bit about as well, which has saved many, many lives. But in this interview, she talks about the challenges as well. So maybe one of you young people out there can listen to Hannah and say, have some thought or idea about the challenge, you know, that's come across in this. And in talking about flood risk in terms of what would happen on a personal level is a really important way of communicating. So you see what John was just saying there about diplomacy and communication. And Hannah said that, you know, the very, very same thing. You know, none of this is worth anything unless we can communicate with people, unless people get the message, and it can save lives, save property, safeguard people. Really do. I strongly recommend you listen to Hannah's chat. It's absolutely amazing. It's a very short listen. Life Scientific, BBC Radio 4. Jason, I'm going to bring you in now because this is just epic and I cannot do it justice. So Jason, I'm going to give you 2 minutes since you gave up a minute earlier. Yeah.
All right, okay.
So
many thanks, Kit. Hello, everybody. It's great to see the chat in the text box. So I decided to send this to Kit. I was thinking about what should I do, what should I talk about, And this is my home office, and this has been at my home office for quite a while before COVID in here. And it really sort of speaks to the things that I do as a modern geographer, really. And I was thinking, every day I am doing something new and exciting through geographic information systems. And geographic information systems, think about it as like computer science for the planet. And that's where good things happen. Okay, so it's really about almost creating a digital nervous system for the planet, particularly about climate change, environmental change. GIS helps us understand that, and we can sort of feel the pain of the planet and helps us understand what maybe we can do about that. So in the last week, I've been, so on the screen at the moment, you can see there's some data from about the La Palma volcanic eruption. I've been also working this week with drone data from there. I've been working with satellite data from the European Space Agency and doing some remote sensing and looking at near infrared sort of wavelengths to actually look at where the lava is actually flowing, and then thinking about how do we take this data and make it usable maybe in a classroom, because my main role is actually leading on how we use this technology for education. And yeah, I've also been talking to a developer in California who also works for us about how do we take games engines like Unreal Engine, which is used for Fortnite. How do we take that in there, apply geographic information systems, and add real world data so we can start to model the impacts of climate change in a really realistic, ultra realistic way. This week again, in fact, just before this call, I was downloading some data from another drone company, creating these really high resolution 3D images to how can we improve fieldwork by actually, is there a way to actually really create some massively high resolution imagery and 3D models so that everybody, if you can get a really good experience of fieldwork. Maybe you can't go out in the field for whether cultural or personal reasons in there, but can we support that in different ways in there? So for me, geography is something I do every day. And I must admit, probably didn't consider myself a geographer probably until a few years ago. And suddenly I realized, actually I am. And because one of the key things that I'm doing the whole time is taking this information, this maybe satellite data or information from the United States Geological Survey, and using my geography skills to communicate this information to non-geographers out there, those poor people out there who are non-geographers. I know there are some out there, and that is a critical role that geographers play in society. Without us in society, particularly now with the climate crisis and environment crisis we need geographers more than ever to synthesize all this different data from different places. But Hannah talking about modeling and the flooding aspects of it, the maths, the science, the satellite imagery, physics in here, the games engines, there's coding, there's census information. So if you want to be a human geographer, there's loads of stuff in that as well. There's a big career opportunity and a really fulfilling and rewarding life. Yeah, that's what it's for me. This is, Kit was talking about passion earlier on. I found my passion in here. I think what you don't want is just a job.
Yes.
Job, you're going to be in work a long time. If your job is boring, you have to get up every morning and you hate it, that's not a fulfilling life. Find your passion, and this is mine. You don't have to do this, but you find your own one and you'll have a great life.
Yep. So. Here. That's amazing, Jason. And everybody, I've known Jason for a number of years now, and that man oozes passion without 100%, 100% of the time. So Jason, thank you so much for that. And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to come back to this slide and pause it, because it's just epic. It's just a thing of beauty. And I wish I've got 1, 2, 3 screens out at the moment. It's nothing compared to that, and that backdrop as well. Right. Okay. So let's listen to, if there's a few people who couldn't make it today or just want to send a video message. There's a couple of people on here who actually are here, but let's have a listen to some folks here. What I'm just going to ask, Aaron, if in the private chat, once I've pressed play, that you can hear the sound after I've pressed play on the
Hi folks, my name's Alex and I'm an ecologist, so I survey for wildlife and give advice about how to protect that wildlife. And I use geography-based skills almost every day, whether it's, for example, mapping the distribution of habitats or working out the physical and environmental factors that means a certain species lives in a certain area.
I'm Professor Chris Jackson, and I'm Professor of Sustainable Geosciences at the University of Manchester. As a geologist, every day I get to use my skills to understand the structure and evolution of the Earth, and also to apply that understanding to locate critical energy resources and mitigate the effects of climate change.
I'm Emma. I'm a movement artist and visual artist, and I'm investigating moving in the landscape currently. There's one thing geography has taught me: it is everything is geography and everything is interconnected.
Hi, I'm Connor. I use geography in my MSc research project, in which I was looking at possible ways to forecast steam-driven volcanic eruptions, such as the eruption on White Island in December 2019.
Hi, my name's Guy Cooper and I work for the Environment Agency in the Area Incident Team. And one way that I use my geographical knowledge is to plan and prepare for and respond to incidents like flooding. And in that way, we try and help to keep communities safe.
Hi, I'm Steph. I'm in my third year studying environmental science at university. I use geographical skills in every part of my degree. One thing that I really have taken forward from A-level is fieldwork skills, so going out on beaches and surveying and collecting samples. I do at university just like I did in A-level.
I'm Jeff Knott, RSPB's Operation Director in Central and Eastern England, and geography has taught me to see not just the landscape that's in front of us today, but what it has been in the past and what it could be again in the future.
I'm Zoe, I'm a meteorologist, and the knowledge I gained about different weather systems while studying geography still helps me now.
Hi, I'm Molly, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm a Technologising Humanities intern at UEA. One of the ways I've used geographical skills in my role is considering concepts like the global south and the global north, and thinking about how these are a product of colonial thinking and they oversimplify economic disparities.
And I absolutely loved the inclusion of Molly and Emma in particular. So Emma actually is an ex-high school student of mine who did GCSE geography with me, but she's now an artist and a visual and a movement artist. And so she has used geography in her master's right now, master's in fine art, where she's looking at artistry and movement in the environment and how it could help to reconnect people in the environment to help fight climate change. And Molly is currently a student here at the UEA, and as you can see there, she does English literature with creative writing, but she's involved with regards to the Decolonising Humanities network here at the University of East Anglia. So she brings all of that geographical knowledge alongside with her English literature and creative writing to kind of really kind of push things forward in that respect. And that's just two examples of where you don't need to do something geographical, you know, obviously overtly geographically related, but you can bring geography within it. So if you do end up doing geography at GCSE or A-level, but then you do something else for further education or higher education or apprenticeship or whatever, you'll find that geography might feed into it anyway. And one of the things that's best about great things about going to university as well, as our guests may attest to, is that you may start on a course on a line. Your first year you might do, you know, things related to your course, but in your second and third year you can diversify a bit and you can bring in modules from other schools. So, you know, Molly does do a couple of, you know, modules in, I think, like development studies and stuff like that to bring into her English literature and creative writing, and it's just a lovely thing that it's able to do. Right. Okay. So now I'm going to go and do the classic Nico take your place kind of pitch here, and let's talk about pathways. So in terms of the presentation, we're coming towards the end of the presentation and we're going to go into Q&A very, very soon. But there is a QR code there for if anyone wants to start giving a bit of feedback. That's absolutely great. So some of you are watching this talk and you're teachers of GCSE students, or you are a student doing GCSEs, or you're thinking about doing GCSEs, right? And these are level 2 qualifications. Qualifications a bit like a step ladder, okay? I didn't know that GCSEs were a level 2 qualification until actually I started this job, and I spent 13 years as a high school teacher. What do I know, right? So of course a classic pathway could be this, couldn't it? Oh, you do GCSEs, you go to A levels, which are a level 3 qualification, and you go to university, and that's it. That's your path. That's your future, isn't it? How many of you are sitting there thinking, is that it? Am I on this conveyor belt to university? But I don't necessarily want to do A levels. I don't necessarily want to go straight to university, or I want to. Well, actually, there are far more pathways out there. Now, you know, at the start of the talk, I talked about your Office for Student UniConnect regional centres. They are amazing at this kind of advice, and some of your schools will have what you call and an outreach officer or a higher education champion or something like that from one of these regions. So go to that map, find out who your regional centre is, get in contact with them. You may even have someone assigned to your school for all you know, and they can tell you about the different pathways. So we've now got these new technical levels, T levels, that are coming online, which are the same rigor as A levels, but they're a lot more technical. So you do a lot more bits hands-on. So you spend about, the majority of your time in class as you would learning, doing lectures, seminars, stuff like that. But you spend a fair chunk of your time in industry, actually on placement. I've forgotten how much it is now. Perhaps my Office for Students colleagues in the chat can let us know. But I think it's like 100 and something hours at least that you on placement. And you've still got BTECs, which are there. Now, a lot of universities don't yet accept BTECs, still don't accept BTECs, and a lot of them are still warming to T levels because they're very, very new. So what I would strongly recommend that you do is that if you're interested in a BTEC, a level 3 BTEC or a T level, is speak to universities of courses and say, do you accept BTECs? Do you accept T levels? I know that the University of East Anglia do accept BTECs, okay, but it's your responsibility with the help of your teachers and careers advisors to find out, right, about where you want to go. And then, of course, we'll come on to apprenticeships in a moment. So another level 3 course is an advanced apprenticeship, and this is where you spend 80% of your time working and earning a wage. It's a job. And 20% of the time you could be at college or a training provider to get all the stuff behind it. And this could lead to a degree apprenticeship, which is the equivalent of a university degree. Another one of my ex, I'm just so proud of him, I can't stop talking about him, but another one of my ex-geography students has just finished their A-levels and has now started a level 7 degree apprenticeship in being a solicitor with an international law firm in London. Amazing. So, there are different pathways there. Okay, and you've got other levels of apprenticeships as well. We've got intermediate, which is the same as GCSEs, level 2, and higher apprenticeships, which are level 4 to they can go up to level 7 actually. So they're your different pathways. So talk to people, right? And in fact, John's been saying, why don't become a civil service apprentice? You go on to 19 to 29,000 a year, depending on what you entry and what you're doing. Okay, so apprenticeships in geography-related stuff. I had the privilege of talking to these two young people. This is what we're going to end with, and then you're going to ask some questions and they're going to respond verbally. Mr. Hall, Daniel, my friend from here in neaco, thank you so much for joining us, Daniel, who has saved my bacon. T-levels require at least 315 hours of work experience with no upper limit. Thank you, Daniel. I owe you a drink. Right, so I've got two fantastic young people I want you to listen to who did apprenticeships in geography-related fields, but neither of them did geography to get there. Let's have a listen to them, okay? Jordan Halliday works on wind turbines on the North Sea. How cool is that? Let's have a listen to Jordan.
I went to Sir John Lehman High School in Beccles just over 5 years ago, and I always found physical-based subjects of a hands-on approach to learning was perfect for me. I thoroughly enjoyed subjects such as resistant materials, where I could use my hands and solve different problems and tasks. And then after I finished school, I then went to Lowestoft College, which is now called East Coast College, and studied a level 2 electrical engineering course, as I was always intrigued with how electricity can be used in an engineering-based environment. From this time, I learned lots and enjoyed my time, which reinforced the engineering path for myself. Whilst I was at college, there was a huge push for apprenticeships, and a large amount of support were given to students in terms of applying, as well as visits to businesses. From time to time, different firms would come in on open days to tell students what they were about and the opportunities within their firms. From seeing different energy-based firms on such open days and being highly interested in such path, which further reinforced the ideas of my future.
Yeah, so what Jordan did, loved resistant materials in school, as you just heard, and then went to college and did a level 3 in mechatronics, which I've never heard of before, but basically it's like kind of a mishmash between like mechanics and electrician stuff, and it's just so awesome. And as I say, now he's doing a level 4, so he's got the equivalent of a level 4s is roughly the equivalent of a first year university at university, so he's going to have a foundation degree level and he's just anyway, I'm so jealous. Right, although I'm not very good with heights. Okay, now Poppy is someone else I had a privilege of speaking to, and Poppy is a level 7, the equivalent of a master's degree, nuclear engineer, just down the road from where we are here just by Southwold at Sizewell. So let's have a listen to Poppy.
So in year 10, I actually went to Cambridge University to have a week in their biochemistry department. I did really enjoy myself, but it was one of those things where you come out of it and think, actually, that's not what I want to do. And, that's actually okay. You don't have to enjoy everything you try, even if you think you're going to enjoy it. So it was year 12 that I did my work experience at Sizewell B. And I guess actually, sounds very cliche, that week kind of changed my life, because the apprentice coordinator said to me, oh, there's this thing called a degree apprenticeship. I think you should apply. I didn't even know that degree apprenticeships were a thing. Straight from GCSEs, I stayed at the same school. It had a sixth form attached to it. And I did my A-levels in physics, chemistry and maths.
So the moral of the story here, right, is that there is no single pathway. Remember back to those quotes at the beginning about passion, about trying different things, about doing, and what Jason said about doing what you love. Okay? All it is making informed decisions. And your teachers will tell you that as well, and so will all of us who work for the Office for Student Uni Connect networks. We will tell you it's all about making informed decisions. Okay, if you do want to go straight to A-level, straight university, and you've made your research, done all your research, and that's definitely the path for you, amazing, brilliant. And you'll even have even more choices once you've got to university. But there are these as well. And apprenticeships are up and coming. They're still very few and far between. They are very, very competitive, but they are definitely worth investigating to see if they could be a potential option for you. Okay, and we've got the Take Your Apprenticeship podcast. Thank you, Connor, for sticking the link in the chat, where you can listen more to Jordan, you can listen more to Poppy, and some loads of other amazing people that I and my colleagues had the privilege of speaking to, and all young people, not too much older than some of you, I imagine. Right. Oh, I'm having so much fun, and yet we're coming towards the end. So I'm just going to signpost a couple of things, and the president of the Geographical Association, Alan Parkinson, is not going to forgive me if I don't mention his book, Why Study Geography. It's pretty good. I have to be impartial, so I'll let Alan do the whole, why you should take geography, right? What I recommend for, there's a whole series of these teachers, right? So if you grab some of these, see if your school will, if you've got the budget to pay for these, have a read through it yourself, and you can definitely take passages out of there and have a read of them. And there's a really good section here where they go through case studies of individuals of what they've done in their careers and how they've used geography in their careers. Someone I strongly recommend you follow on YouTube is Ellie Barker, the Curious Geographer. She's a geography teacher herself, but she does these amazing YouTube video live interviews, and they are, you can watch them back, or you can watch them if you watch them live like you're doing right now, hopefully you can ask questions, with the guest that she's talking to, and it's just a fabulous way of finding out about how people do the job that they do, how they've got to where they've got to, and it's just, it's fabulous. And I have no problems giving the wonderful Ellie a shout. So that's the Curious Geographer. Just search for it. Right. I was hoping to leave at least 10 minutes, and I have. So, couple of things then. So here is a reminder of all the wonderful people that we have available. So I can start bringing some of them back now to give verbal responses, and I can give myself a best of my throat. There's also a QR code on the thing. I'd absolutely love it if you could have a go at that feedback. That goes to our neaco Take Your Place evaluation form. It's data protection is all in place. Please do give us your feedback. Right, so get some more questions in, people, but I'm going to open the floor to any one of our guests and say, is there anything from what you've heard me say or another guest say that you're really determined and passionate to kind of bounce off of? I'm going to open it to the floor. Stick right. Okay, I'm going to bring the punk biologist in. So Aaron, if you can slide Lucy onto the live stream for us. Let's have a hear of Lucy.
There I am. Fantastic stuff. Yes, I just wanted to really quickly say, because we were talking about different routes into degrees or into careers or into whatever it is that you want to do in the future, that you're right, it may be more complicated if you're doing something like a BTEC, but also be aware that lots of universities do take them. In fact, the Royal Veterinary College take them to go on to do veterinary medicine, which a lot of people do not know about at all. Because we know that you do such awesome practical experience when you're doing a BTEC. So don't think that that is shutting any doors for you. There'll be loads of different things available to you. But also, I just wanted to say that when I was some of your age, so when I was in year 10-ish, I had to do work experience, and the only animal profession I knew was veterinary. So I did vet work experience, and I thought, that's what I'll do. I'll become a vet. I did the work experience and went, ooh, I don't want to be a vet. I would be a rubbish vet. There are people who'll be amazing vets. I'm not one of them. Okay, what do I do now? Then I went to college and I was doing biology and some sciences. And I thought maybe I want to be a doctor, because again, that was kind of the only thing that was being told to me. And so I thought, okay, maybe I want to do that, but I'm not sure. I don't really like clinical. So I actually took a year out. I worked in River Island and a tattoo studio to make up enough money. And then I did a voluntary year working in Japan, in Nagasaki, in a hospital to see if healthcare was an environment that I wanted to work in. Turns out no. Turns out I would also be bad at that. So then I came back and I made a clearer decision based on all of those different things as to what I wanted to do. And that means I enjoy my job now. So I would massively say that there is no right route to whatever you want to do, and take as much time as you need to gather all the evidence to make the best choice for you.
Spot on. Thank you, Lucy. Okay, John.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of respond to what Jason was saying about just doing what you love. I think like as long as you just keep doing what you love and you enjoy and kind of makes you feel passionate, then that'll be a common thread through your career. And I think you might have a long distance goal of like wanting to be this or be that. I certainly probably never, when I was younger, thought I'd ever be a civil servant if I knew what one was. But like you're only ever a couple of steps away from the career that you want, so just keep working towards it, and you never know. And also like just be passionate about like how you frame or sort of brand yourself and what it is that you want to do in life, especially when you start going to job interviews. Like you never quite know what people are wanting, so be yourself, but also think about shaping each opportunity you get to kind of keep you going along that pathway that you want. And I really don't think if you keep your enthusiasm and curiosity that you can make the wrong choices. Like study geography, don't study geography, like go here, don't go there. It doesn't matter too much as long as you keep your enthusiasm.
Yeah. Very quickly, John, while we've got you, a question from Jamie says, how did you get into your job? Because they're very interested in working on climate change policy. So if you're able to give that 30 seconds.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've like worked on and off on climate change for a while, and like started off on volcanoes and got told, hey, in the future, it's all going to be about climate. I don't think it's possible to work in many jobs at the moment in the kind of environmental world and not work on climate. It's something that's affecting all of us. And if you want to work on policy, come join us in the civil service. There's direct entry jobs. There's like civil service fast stream if you go to university first. There's apprenticeships. Come work with us. The policy process is infuriating and amazing when it finally works. And to see the words that you've written in a speech that makes a difference is it's really good. So come join us. Would love it.
Thank you, John. Okay, Ro, over to you.
Hello. I think I'm kind of bouncing a little bit off what John said in terms of joining geography in whatever position you want to. I wish I heard this when I was younger. So I'm both autistic and queer. And I've never really felt welcome in geography or any other world of STEM because I didn't know anybody like me. And I thought, okay, that maybe sets me back. I'm at a disadvantage here. People aren't going to want to employ me because I'm the difficult one. But actually, if anything, I think I'm a little bit more employable because nowadays people want diversity out there because that's how we connect such diverse audiences. So if you can be brave and share your diversities, you're going to be able to connect with people a lot better. You're going to be a little bit more interrelatable. And actually, my autism's a bit of a superpower because I see things from like this insanely creative perspective that nobody else sees them for. And you need creativity and curiosity in STEM. So be loud and be proud, okay?
Absolutely. I will certainly echo that as a fellow queer geographer myself, Ro. Okay. Julia.
Hi, brilliant. Yeah, just going to extend what John said, really, to give an example in career. So I've worked in flood risk for about 13 years, and I did not do any hydrology, any study of rivers, or anything even remotely like that at university. So all I did was the bit about rivers that you do at GCSE, and that is because you never know what's around that corner. And what John said, I just want to echo that. If you're positive and you enjoy what you're doing, and you look at what's next and just take, kind of go with the flow in terms of what you're happy about, you may well be in the right place at the right time and end up with the opportunity to learn something differently. So I was doing lots of project management, and I was working on green infrastructure, on play parks, on simple water and flood risk schemes and energy. And the opportunity to just get massively into the flood risk sector came along due to a change in government policy. And I, was just a positive person who was happy to embrace it, got into that sector, loved it, and stayed in flood risk for quite a long time. And it didn't matter, the opportunity to upskill as I went through my career has been available. And I would just say there are a lot of opportunities at the moment for government funded and Environment Agency funded schemes in flood risk, completely free. That's a pretty rare opportunity to do a free degree. So I really would recommend looking at the Flood and Coastal Engineering programme, currently at Brunel, but maybe moving university soon. But Google that. It's funded by the Environment Agency and DEFRA. Thank you.
Awesome recommendation, Julia. Thank you. And that actually quite nicely segues onto you, Guy. Very much Julia's just been saying. So
I just realised I've met Julia before as well through work. So yeah, I'd echo what everyone else says. You never quite know where your career is going to take you. And I started off all about the wildlife. I was very passionate about the wildlife and the environment and climate change, back in the 90s. It was through my flood warning work, when you have a big incident, and I was in the flood warning team trying to make the service better, working with communities, people, and sort of seeing they were frightened, they were confused, they didn't understand why we couldn't just fix it. And that's when I started to self-learn at home around some of the geographical principles around coastal change, tidal surges, what causes them, why they're different around the coast, coastal erosion and that sort of thing, and interactions with groundwater. And once I understood that a bit, my real passion was I want to be able to explain this really clearly to this community to help them adapt and be more resilient. And absolutely echo everything on diversity as well. We need to represent the people that we serve, really, and that means involving everybody. And that's why I'm quite passionate about being involved in this sort of thing, to say, everyone's welcome. It's a great industry to work in, and you never quite know what your route there's going to be. I'll leave the preaching there.
Thank you so much for that, Guy. Yeah, I mean, I get this is kind of my job and it's my bread and butter, I know, but I always get a buzz like talking to knowing such amazing folk. And I tell you what, knowing the geography has allowed me personally to really expand my horizons. It actually helped me discover my identity and just meet so many incredible, diverse, people with intersectional interests. So if you do geography formally as a course, or if you do it on the side because it's a passion or a hobby, or you don't do it any formal way, but you kind of find it useful with whatever passion you find, that is all completely wonderful and all completely valid. And as I said earlier, think of geography as a companion on your journey. It's just what kind of companion that you want. So to finish off, as Aaron is going to cap off the chat, thank you so much. In fact, Aaron, there you go. That slide might actually help you to plug the upcoming careers spotlight. So thank you, everybody. Please do tell us what you think. Do send me an email if you've got any further questions. It has been an absolute pleasure being with you. Thank you so much, and keep jogging.
Thanks so much, Keir. That was just brilliant and perfect timing. 1 minute to 5, absolutely on point. Thanks to you, Keir, and thanks to everybody who's contributed today, all the guests, everyone who's left comments, questions. It's been really great session. And yes, thanks for the prompts. These are the upcoming sessions that we've got on Geo. A couple more careers talks coming up next week. We've also got another one tomorrow. All the details are on the Geo website. So that's geographyeducation.org. Online.org, and you can also go back, as I said, to look at the past events. We've got loads of live streams that you can watch the whole things of. If you go back on there, you can download the PowerPoints and you can share them with anybody you'd like to, so please do check that out. Brilliant. So thanks everybody, and thanks for attending.